What is up, y'all? Welcome back. 357 SIG Ammo Test Series number 11 today. We're back on the testing kick again. We have 357 SIG from DoubleTap. This is the bonded defense. This is 115 grain. We have the heavier one, but we're going to start with this one for today. There it is from the top down. This is a 115 grain, like I said, hollow point that looks pretty darn gnarly. It's supposedly going 1,612 feet per second out of a 4.5-inch barrel. And we'll definitely put that to the test today out of two different firearms. Two firearms we're going to be using today for testing are a 5-inch 1911. This is a Sig Nightmare with iron sights. And then we're going to be using an M&P metal chambered in 357 SIG. Pretty cool. And we're going to be using a red dot optic on this one. And this one is a 4.25-inch barrel. We will be sending these rounds over a Garmin and through a Caldwell at these two B8 targets. After we get everything we need with velocity and accuracy, we're going to send these rounds through a 16-inch 10% clear ballistics gel block, brand new, sparkling, awesome block. We have it backed up with a 20-inch recycled block as a catcher block. I'm not sure if we'll get into it, but it's there. 21 feet off the target for accuracy, 15 feet off the target for gel testing. I don't use bags or rests because this is practical accuracy for me. We're not doing bench rest shooting in a defensive scenario, and I'm also not putting clothing in front of my gel because this is a baseline test. We can do that later, but first we have to have baseline, just gel. Testing explained, let's get to shooting. All right, first up is going to be the M&P with the red dot, the 357 SIG M&P. Let's hope the chronographs work for us today. Left B8 target. We definitely got right there on the X. That's awesome. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't call out the chronograph. I'm going to have to throw that up on screen. We have 1580.8 and we have 1586 downrange. We have 1548 downrange, 1543 here. They're pretty close. It does feel a little bit powerful out of the hand. I'm not going to say that dumb word snappy or anything like that. It just feels like you have some power in your hand, but it feels very manageable, that's for sure. And we have 1527 downrange and 1543 here. 1564 down there and 1536.9 here. Let's go take a look. All right, so I put 2 here in the X ring like I should have, and I got 3 over here. Still very acceptable. In the 10 ring for me, I consider anything that is hand size. No, I'm not pointing the gun at myself. Anything that's hand sized in this black, we're good to go. This could be my shooting. This could be the dot. It could be the ammo. It could be the gun. We have a 357 SIG barrel in here that might not totally be settled in yet, but I'd say very good for what we're trying to do. Let's see how the 1911 does. All right, 5-inch 1911 time. Let's see what kind of velocity we squeak out. We got pretty good out of that M&P. I'm assuming this can only get a little bit better. I'll actually try to call out my velocity this time. And 1622 and 1630 back here. And I'll tell you what, for my 3-dot white sights that I'm looking through right now, that bullet hit exactly where that front dot was. A tiny hair up and to the left over that X circle, but exactly where I was aiming. And when I say aiming, I mean when I broke the shot. Like when I just broke that shot right there, we hit the X exactly, almost on the X, a little bit to the left, exactly where that front sight was. So I would say this is pretty darn good accurate ammo. The 1911 is always the good test for real accuracy testing. We got 1613 down there and 1610.8. And we got a highly accurate firearm too. 1578 down there, 1576 here. 1609 down there and 1598.3. And I just had to screw it up. I can almost never put 5 of them where they're supposed to be. We have 1569 down there, 1592 right here. Let's go take a look. I did drop one. So this one was me. I was holding my breath and I was fighting it. I should have just relaxed, but I was trying to get it done on camera. When I do things right, they land up in here. Like I said, 3-dot white sights, not too bad. This is 100% me. But I'm telling you, those things pretty much land everywhere that front sight is. Really good on the accuracy department. In my opinion, again, there's the hand test or the black circle test. That'll get her done. All right, first up is the M&P. I'm gonna kind of try to go a little bit high and a little bit left. That's exactly where we wanted. We got 1561.9 here, 1561 down there. That's good when they agree. I like that. Let's go take a look. All right, we punched it right where we wanted to, and you can see immediately it starts opening up, expanding, throwing pedals up, down, left, and right. And then as we move over to the side where we can measure things, we have what I'm going to call a really big blowout there. For the first 4.5 inches, we definitely had a version of grenading. Those pedals did their separating of ways and left a center core to keep on punching through. That center core leaves a nice, piercing wound channel. Nothing super big in the disruption land, but there was a whole bunch of disruption first. So that thing lands at about 10.5 inches. Probably has a bounce back from at least 11. I think I can see it could be more on the slow motion, but that thing's facing away from us a little bit, and it looks like a significant chunk of projectile left over. So this thing is a double duty. It gets in there and penetrates a little bit, but it also leaves a big devastating entrance wound. Let's try it out of the 1911 and see if anything changes up. And like always, I'm almost forgetting to show you the view from the top. You can see it a little bit better there, that bursting effect from those outer pieces of copper. Pretty darn gnarly looking. I'm sure there's some lead attached to them. I think I can definitely see lead attached to them. So a significant burst with a pierce and a projectile. And again, from the top, I definitely see it bounce back from 11. So we're going to call that landing at 10, 10.5, but it came back from at least 11. I'd say that would be pretty darn effective on at least a two-legged critter. All right, 1911 style. Let's add about 3/4 of an inch of barrel and see what happens. Sometimes it can make a real big difference. Pretty good hit, I believe. It might have interfered with the other one just a little bit, but we have 1561. I don't think that picked it up. So it didn't pick up that shot, but 1645 downrange. All right, pretty much looks like the other one to me. The same bursting effect, maybe a tiny bit more violent with those shards going out a little bit farther, but let's take a look from the side. So it does look very similar from the side, where we have about 4.5 to 5 inches of those pedals doing their separation and grenading. But one very noticeable thing right off the bat is that projectile did not get anywhere near as far as the other one did. One of the things about increasing barrel length, therefore velocity, is we increase how fast we expand that bullet, depending on how deep that cavity is. And boy, that was a deep cavity for sure. But when that happens, the snowplow effect seems to take over. So I think we have a little bit more energy dump up at first, and we're not going to get as deep. Typically, when we dig that out, I'm sure we're going to see a little bit different looking bullet. So it's sitting at 7.5. The other half of it, I think it's skewed pretty bad. It's sitting at about 8.5, but it has a bounce back from at least 9, possibly more in the slow motion. You guys will see that. But good energy dump, good initial wound cavity, and it does get in there. It doesn't it's definitely not going to over penetrate, but it doesn't get in there super deep either. So it's one of them. You have to decide, do you want the initial wound cavity like you see right there and then a moderate penetration, or do you want to forego some of that initial trauma and get a little bit deeper? It's all personal preference. So now looking from the top, you're going to see that they are pretty close, but that's cool because we can use the same block again. It's always good when we can keep using the same clear block. So you're going to give up that penetration with the 1911. I know it sometimes seems a little bit different in the mind, like, okay, a 1911 might not get as deep, but that's just the truth of it, and that's why we test things. But other than penetration, initial wound cavity does pretty much look the same. All right, we got them dug out for you. The one on the left came out of the M&P. The one on the right came out of the 1911, and boy, do we have some smashed up pieces of projectile here. Let's start with the M&P. After that grenading effect, there's almost nothing left. That is just a little disc piece of a projectile left. It has a little gold dot type of star left in the center, but yeah, really not much to show you. We'll measure it out and weigh it, of course, but there's nothing left but a base. The one out of the 1911 is mushroomed out a little bit farther. It has the lead splattered effect a little bit more, but even less of the base left, to the point where it all just curled back on itself. So they both lost a ton of themselves, but The one on the left, the M&P over here, that one just actually totally removed the pedals, while this one kept a little bit of itself intact. The wind is blowing, so the scale might jump a little bit, but the one out of the M&P is remaining with 42 grains. That's a lot less than 115. That's crazy. So 42 grains left out of that one. And the one that came out of the 1911 has 50 grains left. That's actually surprising that it has a little bit more, with the given the extra speed that tore things apart as much in the beginning, but it does have some more, 50 grains. The widest part of the one that came out of the M&P seems to be 0.470 inches. And as an example of at least how wide that thing probably got before the other one lost its pedals, this one is at 0.814. There's the information. Use it as you see fit. Stay tuned because we're doing the 125 grain test next. Thank you for watching this video, and until we see you next time, stay safe, have fun, and keep on shooting.